Do you want a Baphomet statue? Because that's how you get a Baphomet statue.
It has caused an uproar from the moment it was announced. A satanic statue slated to be unveiled in Detroit later this.
You know, I'm really not into the Satanic Temple. Not because they're Satanists, because they're not. In fact, I'd probably find them more interesting if they actually were Satanists. Not saying I'm interested in dancing with the devil or anything, but I think people should believe in something. Not saying I'm not going to judge them for what they believe in, but I do approve of the fact that they actually believe in something. This organization is one of these protest groups that tends to do things just to piss people off. Basically, they're religious trolls. But the thing I find really cool about them is the unintended, incidental, and, dare I say, somewhat ironic side effect that their form of protest causes. Okay, here's a little backstory. One day I'm listening to Corey and Patrick, and they're talking about how Satanists want to put up a statue of Baphomet at the Arkansas State Capitol. Anyway, Baphomet, for those of you not in the know, is the goat-headed demon thing that the Satanists don't actually worship, but he's pretty much their poster logo. There's actually a lot of really cool lore on him, so if you're like me and like to learn about stuff just to learn about stuff, Google him. I'm sure Wikipedia can tell you about him. But I'm probably not going to, because who Baphomet actually is has absolutely no effect of my opinion on what's going on here. So, to catch up, the Satanists want to build a statue of Baphomet at the Arkansas State Capitol. And they might just pull it off. In my not-so-humble opinion, they should pull it off. But I'll get back to that in a minute. The reason they want their statue is because another group was trying to put up a monument of the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments, for those of you not up with mainstream religion, is this set of holy high rules that form the cornerstone of Christian, and as a result of that, American morality, that most self-proclaimed Christians pick and choose which and when to follow and which and when to ignore. Now, you might think that since I'm in favor of the Baphomet statue, I'd be against the Ten Commandments statue. You'd be wrong. Honestly, individually, I wouldn't find either one of these interesting and pretty much wouldn't care about it.
We don't want our monument there without the Ten Commandments there. The point all along was that it would complement and contrast the Ten Commandments and reaffirm that we live in a pluralistic nation that respects diversity and religious liberty.
You have no problem with the Ten Commandments standing there next to your devil figure, right?
That's correct. So long as multiple points of view are allowed, there's nothing wrong with a religious monument being up.
But both of them together? I think that's a pretty cool idea. And the coolest thing about it? It sets the precedent so that other religions, including ones that don't actually believe what they believe in, could also get to put statues up. We could get statues of Ra and Horus, Thor, Loki, Odin, Zeus and his crew, the Roman versions of the Greek gods that I can never remember the names or ranking of. Hell, a flying spaghetti monster. I personally would take great pleasure in a statue of the dude wearing his bathrobe with a white Russian in one hand and a bowling ball in the other. Hell, maybe even with Walter standing next to him holding a Folgers can. In most of the high fantasy I've read, there's typically a pantheon of gods, like with the Norse, Greece, Romans, only it's usually catered to the world that the book is in, like the Endless and Sandman. Usually when there's a big city, there's usually a section of this city that has a grouping of different temples of the gods. This tends to happen in fantasy-themed video games as well, but I can't really think of any good examples in TV or movies. Hey, if you scroll down, there's a comment section, so call me out if I've forgotten a good one or if there's a show or movie I really need to watch. Anyway, back to the point. I think it would be cool as hell Well, maybe hell isn't the best reference considering the religious connotations and all, but I was trying really hard not to say fuck. Rabbit chased. But I still think it would be cool as fuck to have this area at the state capitol that has all these different statues from all these different religions and cultures that someone could just wander through and appreciate like a museum. Let's call it the Garden of the Gods. I'm not sure if I stole that from Corey and Patrick or not, but it's a cool name and I'm going to use it anyway. This would actually give me a reason to want to visit the state capitol. I mean, hop on a bike, cruise down to Little Rock, wander around. Hell, might find a comfy spot to meditate. Maybe somebody could get some Tai Chi classes going. That'd be pretty cool. No matter what your religion, faith, or ethos is, you can always enrich yourself by learning about other things. Let's take the Norse gods, for example. To most, but not all, they're fiction. Hell, they're one of the cornerstones of a major comic book / movie juggernaut. But once, people worship them as their actual gods. And I'm pretty sure that some people still do. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy the stories, whether we believe in them or not. I mean, stories are stories. In fact, you might even learn a few things. Like how Norse mythology has stories that are completely duplicated in Christianity, even though the Norse versions were written something like 2,000 years before Christ ever walked the earth. Anyway, I think a Garden of Gods at the state capitol could be a really cool thing. And I find it kind of funny that Satanists, even though they're not really Satanists, are actually open the door for even more religious exposure and expansion while trying to protest it in the first place. I guess it's really true that in order to fight something, you have to become like what you're fighting, at least a little bit. What do you think? I know most people are going to think I'm a Satanist, the kind that actually does worship Satan, just for my open-minded take on this. But I hope there are some of you out there that are either enlightened or would like to be enlightened. Hit me up in the comments section. What are some gods, religious figures, or cultural icons that you'd like to see in the Garden of Gods? Do you know of any groups or organizations that might be willing to fight the fight and front the cash it would take to get their icon erected? Anyway, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you want to hear me ramble about other stuff, feel free to subscribe. If you just want random weird insights into my psyche and faith, check out and like my page on Facebook. Just look for The Kong Abides.